intensity light sources for exit signs, storage bins, and traffic lane meters. Also included in this radiation protection. Right. So you can see the ANSI standard radiation symbol here. So that is called as ALARA. So ALARA stands for as low as reasonably achievable concept. Right. So they are intended to reduce occupational exposures as far below the specified limits in order to reasonably be achieved by means of a good radiation protection planning and practice methods, right? So, if you speak about ALARA, you need to know the principle of ALARA. So, ALARA is as low as reasonably achievable concept in order to reduce the occupational exposure, right? So, the principle of ALARA is nothing but it is an extension of an original recommendation. So, it has been recommended by the NCR, right? So, there is the National Committee on Radiation Protection. They have set the specific standards in order to bring down the occupational exposure, right? So depending upon the specific limits, you need to achieve that particular limit of occupational exposure so that you can able to ensure the safety with regard to chemical exposure, right? Right. So there are four different types here. One is a crystal dosimeter, dosimeters, film batches, and ionization chambers. Right. First one is crystal dosimeters. So what do you mean by crystal dosimeters? They are used to They are detection instruments which utilizes the property of certain crystals. For example, silver chloride, potassium bromide, thallium bromide, in order to absorb a part of the radiation energy to which they are exposed in an amount proportional to the doses. Right. The dosimeters are nothing but they include several types of dose measuring devices. Right. So they can also refer to ionization chambers, which are of packet size and equipped with a meter which measures the changes in electrical potential caused by ionization effects. Right. So whereas film batches, they can employ the radiant energy, which has exposed photographic type film emulsions, permitting a quantitative estimate of the radiation energy, where they can get exposure by comparing the exposed film with the calibration film. Right. So ionization chambers are radiation measuring instruments where they can behave somewhat differently according to the magnitude of the voltage. Right. So four different types. One is the dosimeters, crystal dosimeters, film batches, and ionization chambers. So how to transport radioactive materials? Right. So transporting radioactive materials, we need to have three different parameters. One is examining the shipping container. That is the first step. We need to check whether it is broken or whether it has got any leakage or whether it is defective. Right. So once you have examined, you need to monitor the nature of the container. Right. So you have to check whether the shield is in place. Right. You need to take at least two smears or wipes from the outer surface of the lateral evolution in order to transport the radioactive materials. Right. So speaking about storage, so in most of the cases, radioactive materials will not be stored by a commercial enterprise. It can be assumed that where radioactive materials are a principal part of the service or manufactured product, where a business is concerned, so it can, a health physics staff can be appointed in order to establish the correct storage procedures, right? So there you need the role of a safety program manager. They should be aware that such professional advice should be sought in such instances, right? So regarding the storage, you need to include the inputs of the safety program manager as well as you need to follow the guidelines of a commercial enterprise in order to store the radioactive materials in a proper manner, right? Right. So this is what all about the ionizing radiation. While coming to the non-ionizing radiation, so you need to have five different parameters. Right. The areas of electromagnetic spectrum associated with non-ionizing radiation are divided into five different types. They deal with five different types. One is microwave radiation, infrared radiation, visible light spectrum, ultraviolet spectrum, and laser radiation. Right. So, as far as chemical exposure is concerned, you need to know about the industrial hygiene also. So this is concerned with hazards that are largely seen by the unaided eye. So they are responsible for organic injuries which arises out of employment. They are called as occupational diseases, right? So industrial hygiene and industrial toxicology are interlinked. So in the industrial toxicology, we need to study about the um, poisonous or toxic properties of substances. So toxicology is a study where it is a science that deals with the poisonous or toxic properties of substances. What do you mean by toxic effect? So this can be defined as any noxious effect on the body. So that effect can be reversible or irreversible. They can be any chemically induced tumor, or it can be any mutagenic effect or death as a result of contact with the substance. That can happen through the respiratory tract, skin, eye, mouth, or any other route, right? So in the industrial toxicology, there are two different types of poisoning. One is acute poisoning and chronic poisoning. What do you mean by acute poisoning? So it is from a single exposure to a heavy concentration of a toxic substance. Chronic poisoning in the sense it is a result of repeated exposures to a smaller concentration, right? Right. So with this, we have come to the end of the session where we have discussed about the chemical exposure. So I will give the short recap of the session. So we have discussed about the chemical exposure here in this session, and also we have seen the effective ways in which the chemical has been stored, and we have discussed the types of ionizing radiation as well as types of non-ionizing radiation. Also, we have started the basics of industrial toxicology and industrial hygiene, right? And what are all the types of poisoning, right? So there are two different types of poisoning. One is acute and chronic poisoning, right? So thank you all. Um, we'll be seeing the next topic in the next